There, Jonathan Turley, constitutional law attorney, law professor, and a Fox News contributor. Jonathan, thanks for being in focus. First of all, knowing what Hunter is potentially up against, fighting for a new plea deal now, and all the evidence unfolding in other investigations, do you think the president would not pardon him?
Well, there was that moment in the White House, which was almost comical, where Jean-Pierre seemed insulted. They wouldn't take no for an answer. This is the very spokesperson that just 2 days previous said a clear falsehood about prior no's, right? This president has also said there was no Chinese money that went to his son. His son just said there was. This was the president who previously and for years said that he had no knowledge of these business dealings. That's now proven to be untrue. So the surprise over the skepticism of the press corps really did border on the comical. It's not clear what it would take to get the president to this sort of what I've called the break the glass moment in a column yesterday. You know, we've had presidents use the pardon power for friends and family, Bill Clinton being the most obvious with his half-brother. But the question, I think, for the White House is, can this be fixed? And when I use that term, I use it broadly. You know, there was an effort to fix this case. The fix fell apart, and now they're trying to fix that. They've got 30 days to do it.
Yeah, real quickly, how hard is it going to be to get another plea deal? The other one included that blanket immunity that was on, I think it was page 15. Like, there's a chance that you might not have even noticed it. It was buried so deep. So is it hard to get another immunity deal for Hunter Biden, given all the other investigations going on?
Well, it really is a question of your capacity for shame over at the Department of Justice. I mean, what that scene was really embarrassing for everyone at the department. And the question is, are they going to treat him the way they would a normal defendant? For one of my clients, if we walked out of a plea deal in the middle of a hearing, they would hit us with everything they could, including maximum jail time. That's usually the response of the Department of Justice. Wow. In this case, like many other cases, that may not be the case.
Well, speaking of which, some op-eds on the Hunter Biden plea deal are calling it a scam from the start, Jonathan. Another says the wording of the deal proves the DOJ sought to protect Joe. And by that, of course, we mean President Joe Biden. It points to a portion that reads, quote, the United States agrees not to criminally prosecute Hunter Biden for any federal crimes related to the case. Their analysis, quote, with further prosecutions for past crimes ruled out, the DOJ and FBI officials needn't even look for them, allowing them to stay clear of anything that might implicate the president. Jonathan, that sounds like a cake with all the ingredients just packed in there to benefit Hunter Biden and his dad.
I think that's the unavoidable conclusion. I mean, the astonishing thing is the degree to which Democratic members have refused to acknowledge the evidence of this special treatment. They had two respected IRS whistleblowers saying this was treated like no case they've ever seen. There was a great deal of protection given to the president's son, including tip-offs, crimes that were allowed to run in terms of statute of limitations. And now you have a federal judge asking the prosecutor repeatedly, have you ever even seen a plea agreement like this? And the prosecutor saying no, as if he was some pedestrian watching this unfold in front of him. I mean, it's an extremely embarrassing situation for the Justice Department, and it ultimately has to be laid at the feet of Merrick Garland. You know, there's less trust for the Justice Department today than there was under his predecessor, and this is why.
Yeah, and that's a problem because they sometimes, you know, go after and investigate Americans. And if these are the terms in which the privileged get taken care of, what about the rest of us? Because I don't think it would look like that. It seems nearly impossible, Jonathan, now to deny that Vice President Biden's involvement, at the time he was VP, with Hunter's business dealings, despite years of all of his denials. The idea of a possible impeachment inquiry into the president is bubbling up this week after comments by House Speaker McCarthy. McCarthy, careful with his words, but legal experts tell Fox News it could happen. GOP Senator Rand Paul with this warning to his party.
I think it would be better to gather more evidence before an impeachment. If there's going to be impeachment, I think the Democrats set a terrible precedent in impeaching Donald Trump just because they didn't like him, basically. And both of their impeachments fell flat and made them look, I think, terrible. But I think it's not good for the Republic to keep impeaching presidents and indicting presidents. Yeah. All of this stuff is destructive.
Meanwhile, more holes in the president's story are popping up. You mentioned a couple, Jonathan. Let's take a look at former president, or rather former candidate Biden during a 2020 debate.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China?
This thing, a direct contradiction from Hunter Biden in court on Wednesday. As you said, Jonathan, he told the judge about the deals with the Chinese energy company. She pointed out, and he confirmed, a more than $600,000 payday. Your reaction to all of this?
Well, you know, I testified in the Clinton and the Trump impeachments. I'm not one that is eager to see us go down that road again. Senator Paul is correct. The Democrats did great damage to the impeachment process by using what I called a snap impeachment, one that didn't even have a hearing, no investigation in the House. They just went straight for the jugular. And I think that did a lot of harm to this sort of common law we have over impeachment. But the Speaker is right. You know, we often talk about the powers of Congress and not its obligations. What is the House supposed to do? You know, you have a president who has clearly lied for years, lied to the American people, lied through his representatives at the White House during his presidency. He obviously did know about these deals. He had involvement with some of these meetings. There was money that went to China. And then you've got IRS agents saying that the fix was in, that this case was actively managed to avoid serious charges for the president's son. You have millions of dollars moving through a labyrinth of accounts. You have a trusted source saying that there was a bribery allegation, the crime that is the second one mentioned in the impeachment clause. So what are you supposed to do about that? And the answer is you have to investigate. And an impeachment inquiry gives the House that ability. It doesn't mean they're going to impeach. It means they're taking the responsibility seriously. No matter what the administration may want out of this, the one thing the House cannot allow is for these questions to go unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, when you quote the words from what impeachment's supposed to be, and some of it includes what we are watching unfold before our very eyes, potentially involving the President of the United States, then he gets special treatment just like his son if you don't actually ask him about what's going on and get him to testify. I mean, they could subpoena him if they wanted to, but more evidence, you say. So where could some come from? Here's former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer on the Focus yesterday.
The only person that matters is the president. And we know that the president misled the country, I call it a lie, when he said that he never discussed business with his son. We know from texts and from records and from testimony, statements made by former business partners of Hunter Biden, that President Biden did financially benefit. So Hunter Biden equals evidence. And that's what Republicans need to focus on. Evidence that ties to Joe Biden, not the son's behavior, but the son as proof of what's tied to Joe Biden.
And Jonathan, along with that is testimony scheduled for a fourth time now, because this guy keeps canceling, a former best friend and former colleague of Hunter Biden's. That comes on Monday. Wrap it up for us.
Well, Archer is expected to testify that the president participated in a couple of dozen calls, including being put on speakerphone. If that's true, then it demolishes the defense that the White House has used for years with the American people. And the question then becomes not whether the president has lied, but why he has lied for so many years about this influence peddling operation run through his son.
Wow. Jonathan Turley on a Friday. Great to have you in Focus. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.